Alrighty, so now that you've done attendance, it is time to work on your week 2 code along. So I have the instruction file here, but I just want to say this at the beginning. Unlike what you did in attendance, but more like what you did in week 1 code along, you're actually going to code and then you're going to submit your commit history at the end. Okay, so again, this is a little different because you just didn't need, you did the work, but you didn't need to submit a URL, but you will for this one. So I have the instruction file open, so let me pull it over here. Okay, so in this case, you're going to learn following along with Kevin. And in this case, you're going to be doing much more than what we did in week 1. Most of what you're doing here, actually 99%, because I'm just doing this video to give you the overview. But you're learning about the HTML basics and semantics, okay? You're going to build the skeleton using semantic HTML, which is really, really important. So now, last week I had you set up your week 1 folder, and this is just to give you, right, some important things, because before you start working, you need to create the file we're going to be using for this week. So this week we're creating a week 2, and it'll be at that same level as your week 1. Okay, so let me show you this so that here going forward, you will actually do that, because what you're going to do is copy the files from the previous week into this folder, okay? And then go through and set it up either on CodeSpace or here. And in this case, we'll also start live server. So this is just content we've already seen, but I'm actually going to walk you through this first part because you haven't done it yet. And we do have a commit message here. Okay, so I'm going to move over to VS Code real quick. Now in VS Code, I ended up, this is where in the last video in attendance, I was in project, right? So what I would do here is I would go, and if you're in your code space, then you would open folder, right? So in this case, you would then go back to your base folder, okay? Whatever your private repo was. And then you would be able to see that new project folder, that rec one, that get help, right? All those things that we created. Okay, so again, you just open folder and you basically are going back one. Okay, so now let's create a new folder. This folder is going to be called week 2. Okay. And then week 2, we're going to go over to week 1. We're going to select select this, do here. Now I end up using the shift command and I'm going to copy this. Okay. And now I'm going to come down here. I'm going to paste it. Okay, cool. So now I have all these U's, right? And now that I have all these new files, right? So basically I just want to go back and show you what I just did is I created that new folder, W2, right? I copied all the previous stuff and now I'm going to do the get workflow, right? With the commit message here. Okay, so remember, that's how I grade is did you do it and did you follow the workflows? Did you do the get workflow? So I would do it this way, open an integrated terminal. I'd make sure I'm in my W2. I'd put BWD just to be clear. By the way, if you've done right click that way, you should be in there no problem, right? And now, so I do get add star, get commit dash M, and then I copied that, so week 2 setup. So now notice all those nice colors went away as well. So now we're going to actually do where we open up just the week 2. So now I do file, open folder, right? Now I'm going to go into my demo and I'm going to go my week 2 and then I'm ready to go. Okay, so now I have just my week 2 in here. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to the instruction because that's the piece here. Some of it repeated from last week, okay? So actually now let's do this last part where we run the live server, right? So we on both CodeSpace and or local, you want to run live server because you're going to end up this time where Kevin, I showed you last week where he will open the file. You don't need to do that because you're running this nice little tool called live server. So no matter if you're on CodeSpace or otherwise, you would click live server, right? Now there's nothing in this page. This is what you're going to end up coding this time, okay? So if you have this open, and that's what the instruction talks about, if you have it open, it looks like this, which mine does, then you're correct. Okay, now you're gonna, and what's nice about this, and you can kind of, you set up your screen however you want, is whenever you make changes, now don't make this change yet because you're gonna follow along with Kevin, but let's just say, and by the way, not correct, testing, right? what will happen here is that will show up. And it actually, I had to hit refresh, but no, normally depending on how quickly you come over there, you will generally see it because it's actually what part of what live server does. Now, don't do that because that's not what Kevin's going to have you do. But I'm just showing you that's what you want to have open. Okay, live server, right? If you see it, you didn't complete this, go back and specify the folder. All right, so now you're going to work through. So here's the link. So remember, right click, open in a new tab. You're going to work through 4 through 10. Okay, video 4 through 10. And so, like I told you last time, here's my general suggestion. When you're going to start watching video 4, right, know that it's got a part A and a part B. And then read through where you start and what you're going to do. And then read through, oh, yeah, here's the command or the commit. Okay, so you're going to watch. Right? And when Kevin finishes doing the doc type, HTML, and body, but before he adds the title and the text, do your commit. Okay, so remember, this is how you're getting graded, is are you following along? Okay, so now still on number 4, then you add the title, the first P, check your live server tab, what does it say, right? And then you do a commit, right? Go to the end. So then on 5, you'll pick it up. So you see the pattern. I'm not going to go through all of it because that's what this instruction is intended to give you. Now, when you get all the way through 8, I give an optional break. Now, this is not required, but it is an option if you're actually working at the due date. Okay, do you need a break? Because maybe by doing all the way to 7, you're like, Rio, I need a break. And I offer this to all of my classes at some level, and taking a break is generally good. So you have 24 hours to finish the remaining videos. Okay, now what does that mean? Well, this item is due, right? In this case, it may be a future semester, so look for your due date, but March 23rd at midnight. Okay, so if you submit now, right, and here's the key, and let's go back and look at this, right, is you will go ahead and after you do this, you would do your git push, right? And then you would go ahead and submit your commit history. And what this is showing me is, hey, I got all the way to here. Okay. Right. Actually, this is not a commit message. I should not put this here. So I'm going to you'll see this a little different because this makes it look like a commit message and it's not. It's just the FYI. You have 24 hours to finish the remaining work. Okay. So then you would come back in the next 24 hours, submit the rest or complete the rest of them. And then you would actually come in here and I will actually show you the URL. You'd submit it again. Okay, because the first time you submitted it, matter of fact, let me go ahead and go to my repo. And let's say, I think I pushed that. I did, I pushed that. Oh, let me see, did I push that? Oh, I already had it. Okay, I actually have to do this, hold on. So I went ahead and just put something in there so I could see this, right? So if you're taking the break or if you're completing. Now, by the way, if you miss that first item, or sorry, let's say it this way. Let's come back here and slow down, right? So this break is optional, but if it's only optional, right? If you want to take it. So if you don't take it and you end up submitting after that 24 hours, that after this, then, there is 10 points off. If you missed, I would call this the first due date, right? Again, you don't have to take the break. It's really me trying to help you just chunk the content because what you really want to do is get what Kevin's talking about. And sometimes it's just a lot of stuff and it's like, oh, I need a break from it. Okay. So here's what I would do. I would go to here. I'd go to my week 2. Now, these are not going to be the commits that you will see, but I'd go to my commit history. I'd copy that URL, and I just did the test. So I'd have it, right? And then here, right, if I was taking the break, I would submit it, and then I could say, taking a break. Be back. I should be right be. I should say be right back in 24 hours, okay? So then what you would do is go ahead, right, and you could submit that. Now, you're not done if you only worked up until that point, okay, right? So then you would come back in the next 24 hours, which, by the way, I don't grade until the morning, so just know I grade first thing in the morning, and you'll kind of get to know my schedule as well. Okay, so let's just look at the rest of these items to see if there was anything else. Right, so sometimes Kevin will actually say, "Hey, try this on your own." So I've built this in to the commit, and this is called the commit log, right? So this is your commit log. Ultimately, by the time you're done, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's not a commit. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So there's 13 commits for this code long, okay? Hopefully this gives you an understanding of what you need to do. Reach out if you have any questions. Have a good one.